If there's one bit of cold comfort from the pylon that tipped over, cutting power to Northland in June, it's that it was a one-off, right? Wrong. A report out today reveals it wasn't the first time the nuts had been removed from more than 1 foot of a pylon. It may have even happened multiple times. Despite this, the contractors weren't warned during their training not to do it. Here's senior political correspondent Jenna Lynch with some real facepalm revelations.
You do not have to be an engineer to work out that a power tower is not supposed to be on the ground. When it came down in June,
I heard a hell of a thump and the power went off.
It took out power to 88,000 customers across Northland, and as we knew then, a damning report released today confirms removing too many nuts during maintenance was the problem.
I went up to the site the day after the tower fell over. It was very clear what the reason, and the fact that they'd removed too many bolts and nuts from the base plate.
Parliament Speaker unable to hide his incredulity.
As a result of the extraordinary removal of bolts from the tower.
But alarmingly, it's not the only time too many nuts had been removed. It was not a one-off incident.
How many times did it happen?
I think reading the report, I don't think that the report clarifies that number exactly.
The nuts and bolts of the review is the incident was entirely avoidable.
How much responsibility do you accept for your part in this?
Yeah, look, I'd apologise firstly for the impact on Northland consumers and businesses. Ultimately, we're accountable for the work, so, things go back to us. So we take accountability for our failings in this.
Not quite billions, but the outage did cost the region tens of millions of dollars.
The power fell over. Northlanders lost millions of dollars. And I have never heard of anyone either losing their job or being held responsible. The new CEO needs to find out who caused that within the organisation and send them to the knackers yard.
1,000 people in Transpower and thousands of people across the industry who work really hard, are passionate and committed to making that light come on 99.99% of the time, which is what it does. Unfortunately, in this one incident, something's gone badly wrong.
The work had been carried out by 3 contractors from Omexam, 2 of them trainees.
Has anyone lost their job at Transpower over this incident?
No, not to my knowledge.
The review found the foundation training course doesn't provide clear guidance on how many nuts can be removed at one time, how many legs of the pylon can be worked on at the same time, or how work should be carried out to ensure structural stability. Translation: how to do the job in a way that the tower stays standing.
Isn't that the basics?
I would say absolutely.
The trainee who removed the nuts wasn't being supervised, and as it turns out, the insufficient training is irrelevant.
He hadn't been trained, so whether the training was adequate or not isn't actually a factor in this case.
In 2021, a Transpower senior engineer had raised concerns about a gap in the knowledge of maintenance crews.
It shows a significant impact on the people of Northland, and ultimately the failures have been socialised and the costs have been paid for by the people of Northland.
There is no recommendation for compensation in Transpower, effectively saying anyone calling for that should be careful what they wish for.
If that was brought into the process, then electricity prices would have to go up to cover that risk aspect of delivering the supply.
Power prices going up to cover power lines going down. That sounds, well, nuts.
Jenna's with us now. Kia ora, Jenna. Has the contractors' company had much to say about this today?
Yes, so Omexam has released a statement on this, reiterating the apology that it already issued to anyone affected by the outage. They say they have been doing this work successfully for many, many years, and they had already conducted their own internal review and are starting to implement some of the recommendations from that. As to how many times this may have happened before, Transpower had more of an answer on that from us. They had been able to ascertain that it seemed to be confined to this specific 3-person crew who had only worked on 5 jobs together over May and June, something this 150-page government review could not find out, perhaps because they didn't talk to the 3 contractors involved in that incident.
OK, Jenna Lynch there live from Parliament. Tēnā koe.